This week on Jerusalem Dateline, waiting for the Mahdi, the strange and dangerous theology that motivates Iran's leaders. And Bibi makes his case to the UN. Israel's prime minister warns the world about Iran's new leader. Plus, our exclusive interview with Danny Ayalon, his insights on the recent developments with the US and Iran and what it means for Israel. Hello and welcome to this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. I'm Chris Mitchell. We're coming to you with the Israeli Knesset, or parliament, behind us. And one day, Israeli lawmakers and leaders may have to make a decision about Iran's nuclear program. Because of all the turmoil in the Middle East, some Iranians believe we might be on the verge of the appearance of the Islamic Messiah. They call him the Mahdi. And a recent video showed that the Iranian leadership expects to play a major role in the Islamic end times. Eric Steckelback has that story.
The revolutionary movements gripping the Middle East have created uncertainty throughout the region. But in the eyes of the Iranian regime, the chaos means their ultimate victory is at hand. CBN News has obtained an exclusive copy of a propaganda video that's reportedly been approved at the highest levels of the Iranian government. It's called The Coming is Near, and it describes current events in the Middle East as a prelude to the coming of the mythical 12th Imam, or Mahdi, the Messiah figure who Islamic scriptures say will lead the armies of Islam to victory over all non-Muslims in the last days.
This video has been produced by a group called the Conductors of the Coming in connection with the Basij, the Iranian paramilitary force, and in collaboration with the Iranian President's Office.
Reza Khalili is a pseudonym for this former member of Iran's Revolutionary Guards who shared the video with CBN News. Khalili worked as a double agent for the CIA inside the Iranian regime. We've hid his face and disguised his voice for his safety.
Just a few weeks ago, the President's Office screened this movie with much excitement for the clerics. The target audience is the Muslims throughout the Middle East and the world.
The video claims that Iran is destined to rise as a great power in the last days to help defeat America and Israel and usher in the return of the Mahdi. And it makes clear the Iranians believe that time is fast approaching. The video states that America's invasion of Iraq was foretold by Islamic scripture and that the Mahdi will one day soon rule the world from Iraq. The ongoing upheavals in other Middle Eastern countries like Yemen and Egypt, including the rise of the Muslim Brotherhood, are also analyzed as prophetic signs that the Mahdi is near. So is the current poor health of the King of Saudi Arabia, an Iranian rival.
وخامت حال وضعیت نامشخص و مبهم او بشارتی بزرگ برای منتظران ظهور نیست.
Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, and Hassan Nasrallah, leader of Iran's terrorist proxy Hezbollah, are hailed as pivotal end-times players, whose rise was predicted in Islamic scriptures. That position, that Khamenei is the Mahdi's deputy on earth, is gaining traction among important players in the Iranian political and religious establishments, including leaders of the powerful Revolutionary Guards Corps. One top cleric even said in this recent clip that Khamenei was no ordinary baby and that he called out the name of a Shiite holy figure when he was born. Another prominent Ayatollah, Mesbah Yazdi, is one of Iran's leading advocates of Islamic end times ideology, which says that the Mahdi will return to slaughter all non-Muslims and establish a global Islamic empire. Yazdi is also a mentor to Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, and Khalili says he's given Khamenei his apocalyptic stamp of approval.
Yazdi also stated that Khamenei ascends to the sky every year for 5 hours, meeting with Imam Mahdi. So they are defending the Supreme Leader's position as a saint, as a prophet, as the one who's going to pass the flag of Islam to Imam Mahdi.
Middle East expert Joel Rosenberg is author of The 12th Imam.
I think it's a very grave development because it gives you a window into the thinking of the Iranian leadership that they believe the time for war against Israel is maybe even sooner than others had imagined.
Khalili says the coming is near will soon be distributed by the Iranian regime throughout the Middle East. He says their goal is to instigate further uprisings in Arab countries. Eric Stakelbeck, CBN News, Washington.
Iran is in the news this week because of a historic call between U.S. President Barack Obama and Iranian President Hassan Rouhani. But Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is making a forceful case that Iran remains a danger. That's all part of our weekly news wrap-up. Netanyahu's pledge included a veiled threat of an Israeli military strike.
Ladies and gentlemen, Israel will never acquiesce to nuclear arms in the hands of a rogue regime that repeatedly promises to wipe us off the map. Against such a threat, Israel will have no choice but to defend itself. I want there to be no confusion on this point. Israel will not allow Iran to get nuclear weapons. If Israel is forced to stand alone, Israel will stand alone.
Iran called the speech inflammatory, but Netanyahu said if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, it would be like 50 North Koreas. He also warned about Iran's charm offensive and smile campaign, launched by its new president, Hassan Rouhani.
Now I know, Rouhani doesn't sound like Ahmadinejad, but when it comes to Iran's nuclear weapons program, the only difference between them is this. Ahmadinejad was a wolf in wolf's clothing. Rouhani is a wolf in sheep's clothing, a wolf who thinks he can pull the wool over the eyes of the international community.
Netanyahu declared a nuclear Iran represented not only an existential threat to Israel, but also a clear and present danger to the United States and Western powers. He argued sanctions must be kept in place. He also invoked the biblical prophet Amos.
In our time, the biblical prophecies are being realized. As the prophet Amos said, they shall rebuild ruined cities and inhabit them. They shall plant vineyards and drink their wine. They shall till gardens and eat their fruit. And I will plant them upon their soil, never to be uprooted again. Ladies and gentlemen, the people of Israel have come home, never to be uprooted again.
And thanks, Chris. Hello, everyone. I'm George Thomas. Continuing our Jerusalem Dateline news wrap, President Obama's diplomatic outreach to Iran could get harder. In fact, Congress is moving forward with tougher U.S. economic sanctions against Iran's nuclear program. This comes after the first contact between the two countries' leaders in more than 30 years. In July, the House adopted legislation that increases penalties that went into effect last year. The penalties have cut Iran's petroleum exports in half. The new sanctions are expected to be finalized in November, and that gives the White House only a few weeks to see whether Iran really changes course under President Rouhani. Operation Blessing Israel is conducting medical outreach and food distribution to one of the most desperate Palestinian communities in the West Bank. They live in tents and caves, have no electricity or running water, and very little food. That's where we found Haji.
Deep in the rocky hills of the West Bank is a group of refugees with no place to call home. They live in caves, tents, and shacks, and every day is a fight for survival. Haji and her family live in this tent. Her sons are often gone looking for work, so she raises her grandchildren here. With no electricity and no running water, the whole village gets water from the same cistern. But with Israel in its 7th year of drought, the cisterns are running dry.
We beg for water because they don't bring the water tank anymore. They want $85 for water. Where am I going to get $85?
Haji's family and others try to earn money by selling the wool from their sheep. But in this rocky desert, their animals have nowhere to graze, and these shepherds have nowhere else to live.
The other villages don't want us. They tell us we're on our own, and nobody recognizes us. We don't receive food or anything. We're forgotten.
Recently, Operation Blessing Israel showed these families that they were not forgotten. We gave boxes of food and supplies to more than 450 people. Each family got a week's worth of rice, fresh fruit, powdered milk, and soap. We also brought them some much-needed water.
I asked them, please get us some water. They gave me 3 gallons of water, and they also got us water in the tanks. I am so overwhelmed with happiness that I want to fly.
Operation Blessing also held free eye exams for people who hadn't seen a doctor in years and got glasses for those who needed them. While the doctors worked, volunteers gave toys to the children. For Haji and the others in this village, just being noticed means everything.
This is the first time anyone has ever seen us. We can't believe it. We are so happy because of you. Thank you for helping us and caring for us.
And to learn more about the work with Operation Blessing, you can just go to our website at cbnnews.com. Coming up, Israeli diplomat Danny Ayalon talks with Jerusalem Dateline about the latest developments between the United States and Iran.
Hi, my name is Breda. I'm just your typical 9-year-old. I love singing, dancing, reading, discovering the simple truth. My grandpa says you're never too young or old to learn the value of a dollar. He taught me the true value of this paper dollar. You see this little gold coin? It says $1 on it. But guess what? That was a long time ago. Today, this gold dollar is worth over 100 paper dollars. This paper dollar is now only worth 1 penny compared to America's former money, the gold dollar. My grandpa says the only money worth saving today is real money, gold or silver coins. He's pretty smart. How our paper dollars lost their value, he says. It's all explained in a new book, The Great Debasement. It's easy and fun to read. If you call the number on the screen, I will send you a copy totally free. Next time, I'll explain the simple truth about money.
Help! If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary?
Oh, yes, that was terrible.
Yes, it was. Help! And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a Medical Alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free Medical Alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
Welcome back. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani made a strong impression during his recent visit to the U.S. Some are calling him a moderate and a person the West can negotiate with. We sat down recently with former Israeli ambassador to the U.S., Danny Ayalon, about Rouhani's charm offensive and the ongoing battle to keep Iran from getting a nuclear bomb. Ambassador Ayalon, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, Chris.
This is a big week for Israel. What does Israel need to do on the global stage?
I think we need to set the record straight. What we have seen from Iran is a very sophisticated, multi-tiered diplomacy, which has changed the rhetorics of the past. But we all must remember that with all due respect to the rhetorics, the deeds and the actions count, and so far the Iranians have not changed one iota. Their relentless run towards a nuclear bomb, let alone their continued support and execution of terror activities all over the world, and supporting Assad and chemical weapons and Hezbollah and other terrorists all over. So we need to say that it's not enough to change rhetorics. It's more important to change the policy and the action.
So with the election of Rouhani, are we seeing a new charm offensive and a different tactic used by Iran?
Absolutely. We must remember that Rouhani would not have been elected president without the approval or pre-approval of the supreme leader, Khamenei. He is the one who says who can run, who cannot run. And it seems like a whole scheme to actually deflect the sanctions. Also, in the last year alone, Iran lost more than $100 billion of revenues. Inflation is very high, unemployment is very high. The rial, the currency of Iran, has devalued by more than 70%. So they are really on a brink of economic collapse. And also in their inner talks, their main goal is to lift the sanctions without changing a bit their run for nuclear bomb and support for terrorism. The sanctions should not be lifted. A dialogue should not start without the Iranians stopping the enrichment of uranium. On the contrary, we see that the pressure works, and more pressure should be exerted on Iran if we want to see results.
What's your reaction to the phone call that President Obama made to President Rouhani, which was the first time since 1979 that any U.S. president has talked directly to an Iranian leader like that?
I think this is unfortunate. I believe it's way too soon or premature, because in a way it legitimizes Iran. It also strengthened the hand of the Ayatollahs vis-a-vis their own population. And now they can tell them, well, hang on a few more months and we will get what we want. As opposed to when the masses in Iran were very unhappy with all the money spent on the nuclear program and not having much to eat themselves. So this is changing the dynamics.
And does this make it more difficult for Israel, and does it sort of isolate potentially Israel internationally, if everyone is sort of rallying around this new diplomatic venture and Israel's the one that's saying, hold on?
Absolutely, it may isolate Israel, unfortunately, because we don't want to be in the position of the spoiler. We don't want to be in the position of the one who's saying, you know, the king is naked, but someone has to do it. And certainly when it comes to our own national security and interests. And we also must make the point that Iran is not just a threat to Israel. It's a threat first and foremost to their own population, and then to the Sunni governments in the Gulf and in the rest of the Middle East, and also to Europe and to the United States. And nuclear Iran would be a total devastation for world order as it is, for the economy, for increased and more brazen terrorism, and the end of the non-proliferation treaty, whereby other countries will seek nuclear capabilities, whether it's Saudi Arabia or Turkey or Egypt or even Venezuela.
How serious, sophisticated, and how widespread is Iran's nuclear program?
It's very extensive, and if left to their own device, they will be able to manufacture 25 to 30 nuclear bombs a year.
And what can or what should Israel do if it has to go it alone? Is that a possibility?
Of course, Israel has to reserve all the options on the table, but I think it would be much more effective if the entire international community would work together. And I do still believe that a military option can be obviated if indeed we continue and even increase the sanctions.
Ambassador Ayalon, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Up next, how do regular Israelis feel about the new relationship between Iran and the U.S.? Go to the streets to hear the voice of the people.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need, just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
With all the phone calls, speeches, and talk about a thaw in U.S.-Iranian relationship, we wanted to see what Israeli citizens think about these developments. Julie Stahl has a reaction from the Israeli street.
So tell me, what do you think about President Obama speaking with President Rouhani?
To make a diplomacy, it's a good way, not war, but the diplomacy. So I like that.
I think that we should give diplomacy a chance, but everyone knows that diplomacy without armed force isn't real diplomacy. Diplomacy is about the carrot and stick, and even a beginner politician like Obama should know that.
I think he's being a traitor to his closest ally, Israel, and I think that he's not being honest with the United States government and with the people of the United States and the world.
Not good, not good. Iranians רוצים מלחמה, where? It's not good.
He's giving legitimacy to a person who, a guy who speaks a week before says that Israel is a problem that they have to get rid of, right? And then you go and speak to that guy. Would you accept the fact that a different prime minister would go and befriend this guy? No.
أسور لآمين عام إسرائيل أسور لآمين.
Don't believe it. It's forbidden for the people of Israel to believe this. In a matter of life or death of the people, there is no believing. We need to be tough and not say anything.
We live among the Arabs and we know them already. They talk a lot, but they don't mean it. So I hope I'm mistaken, but I'm not sure.
I don't know that he should be talking to him, because the reality is that the Iranian guy is not going to give us quiet, peace, a chance to sleep at night. I have to worry about my grandchildren. I have to worry about myself.
Always reasonable to speak with somebody before acting strongly. The question is, can we, is there really a name speaking with those people, knowing that anyway their final aim is to destroy Judaism and Jewish people?
I don't trust Iran. I don't think people that change overnight, and I don't trust them.
I don't know. I mean, I think he's got to focus more on issues at home. You know, that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't really think the U.S. should be involved in other countries so much.
If something productive can come out from it, that would be fine. If it encourages more delays, then notwithstanding that we'll be in a lot of trouble here if they reach full development of a nuclear weapon, the United States will basically lose any presence in this part of the world as Saudi Arabia and all the surrounding nations move on to find them some way to defend themselves from the largest menace in the region.
Coming up, a day of prayer for Jerusalem. Why Christians around the world believe it's more urgent than ever before to intercede for this holy city.
Pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
Grace, music is unpredictable.
I know I have what it takes.
The Dove Foundation raves. Grace Unplugged is remarkable and inspiring.
This is not about the music, it's about everything else that goes with it.
Dad, were you watching me?
A moving and meaningful film.
This book, his words shook me. It was like my whole world.
That parents and teens should see together, says Focus on the Family.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna drag her back home?
Yeah, I might. I think maybe you're fighting God. Just stop running.
Grace Unplugged, rated PG, in theaters October 4th.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957.
Grace, music is unpredictable.
I know I have what it takes.
The Dove Foundation raves. Grace Unplugged is remarkable and inspiring.
This is not about the music. It's about everything else that goes with it.
Dad, were you watching me?
A moving and meaningful film.
This book, his words shook me. It was like my whole world.
That parents and teens should see together, says Focus on the Family.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna drag her back home?
Yeah, I might. I think maybe you're fighting God. Just stop running.
Grace Unplugged, rated PG. In theaters October 4th.
Welcome back. This week, tens of thousands of churches and millions of Christians around the world will be praying for the peace of Jerusalem. It's called the Day of Prayer for the Peace of Jerusalem, the first Sunday of every October. And many Christians believe it's more important than ever to be praying for the city of Jerusalem.
Did you know that there is a particular place on earth that God seems to be really fond of? Not a metaphor or a hypothetical, a geographical location. And it's called Jerusalem. Over the years, all sorts of wars have broken out around Jerusalem, and many terrible things have happened to this city. So naturally, many efforts have been made to fix the problems that keep popping up. So what we decided to do, and what we're asking you to do, is the simplest thing anybody possibly could do. Pray. That's right, pray. And it turns out we're actually commanded to pray for Jerusalem. What if we began by praying on one day every year? Sort of how we in America eat turkey the fourth Thursday of every November, or how Canadians celebrate their national animal on Beaver Day, the last Friday in February. What if we prayed for the peace of Jerusalem the first Sunday of every October, just making it a part of our prayer service that week? God might think it's really cool to have his children praying in different languages, in different ways, for the very same thing. And while some remain skeptical that prayer makes a difference, hundreds of thousands have already committed to pray for the peace of Jerusalem this one day a year. Who knows? Maybe prayer will remind us that we're not in charge of the world to begin with. Or maybe prayer will move God's heart to do something wonderful in Jerusalem. Or maybe, just maybe, prayer will change us. Let's find out. Sign the prayer resolution and mark your calendar for the first Sunday of every October. And join us and the world as we unite in prayer for the peace of Jerusalem.
Whether it's the first Sunday of every October or any day of the year, it's a good day to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Well, that's it for this edition. I'm Chris Mitchell. We'll see you next time, right here in Jerusalem.